Hey, welcome back to JG3 Reviews. My name is James, and here I like to explore the world of fountain pens, ink, paper, all that good stuff. And today it is another fountain pen day, and this time it is from PenBBS. If you're not familiar, PenBBS is a pen company that was started by pen enthusiasts on a fountain pen related bulletin board in China, and they do great work. They listen to the fountain pen community and they improve their pens on a regular basis and introduce new models on a regular basis. And that's what we have today, the 556 in Galaxy Blue. You know, it's my favorite, Galaxy Blue. However, I'll also show you the Demonstrator version of the pen because this is a piston filling pen, and that'll be a lot easier to see in that clear acrylic. Speaking of which, let's spin that camera and get started. All right, whenever you get a PenBBS pen, it's usually going to come in a box that looks just like this. It's a nice little cardboard box, great for a gift or a presentation, that sort of thing, with a little magnetic lid. Inside you find instructions. I'll let you take a gander at those right quick. It'll help you learn how to take care of and fill your pen. Always handy. Then you get the pen, very well protected in the foam there. And this also comes in a plastic sleeve. Here we have that Demonstrator version of the pen, looking really good. The material nice and clear and well polished. Really helps you get an idea of how the pen works. We'll take a look at that in a second. But first, let's look at the Galaxy Blue. This one came in the gold trim. Now, I'm really more of a silver trim person. This is another model from PenBBS in the same material, and I just personally like how that silver trim looks. And that is what I ordered, but it came in gold anyway. Still looks quite good, and it's not breaking my heart any. All right, let's look at the details of this pen. I think they'll be easier to see in a way with this blue pen. First, at the very top, you have a pagoda, or almost like a symbol, like a musical symbol, shaped finial, and it is very similar to what you see in some special edition PenBBS pens. You have the Year of the Rabbit pen, which had a very nicely decorated top like that, as you can see there. A little bit of a controversial pen, but it writes really well and is very well made. And then, well, this one was controversial too. You also had the Year of the Tiger pen with an even more heavily decorated finial that uses very similar design language as well, pulled from Chinese design and architecture. And I like that. Makes it their own thing. They're very creative at PenBBS. And again, while these pens are a little controversial in their design, both of them write really well and are very well made, and they're fun pens to have. And even though it might be harder to see, I do like the way that looks on this clear acrylic. Just hard to catch on camera. Now then, when you come down from that finial, you come to the first trim ring, which is also part of that clip, which looks like it was inspired by seashells. That's what it reminds me of. And this is a new clip. You have, let's see here. This has really been their more standard clip for quite a while on most of their newer models, kind of that sword blade sort of a clip. For that, you had this, I think, simple but great looking clip on the 308. So this is something new. I assume we'll see this on some other models like we have with their other clips in the past, but I don't know that. Then you come down to the center trim ring. We see that it says PenBBS in their written logo, and then has a little bit extra decoration going on there. Looks pretty cool. And then we come around to the model number 556 and made in the PRC, People's Republic of China, and then that extra decoration once again. Then as we come down that barrel and look at that Galaxy Blue material on that barrel, just looks fantastic, as this material just always seems to do, and I really like that. You come down to the trim ring and then to the piston knob. Now, I'm not going to show you that part on this Galaxy pen because this is already inked. But here on the Demonstrator, we can look over those details. So when you take the cap off, it takes 1.5 turns, not bad at all. You come to this trim ring here above the grip, and it says PenBBS Type A nib. I've never seen that before on any of their pens. This is still swappable with all the other great PenBBS nib units, which they have standard sizes like fine and medium, and a Waverly fine nib that I really like. And they have specialty nibs, quite a few specialty calligraphy nibs. The standard nibs are about $6, and the specialty nibs are about 20-ish, I think, the last time I looked. And then you can also get gold nibs as well, and those run something over $100, $120, something like that. Anyway, when you go up, you find those plastic threads. They're not sharp or uncomfortable or in the way. You have a little bit of a step down, but nothing major. And then we can see in this demonstrator version that piston mechanism. So if you're not familiar, the way that this works is you turn counterclockwise. The piston moves down, pushing all the air out of the ink reservoir, and then with the pen up to that edge in the ink bottle, you will then tighten that knob back down, and as you do, vacuum pulls the ink in. Now, usually what I'll do is I'll do that 2 or 3 times, a full run, 2 or 3 times, and you get a really good fill. Now, if you take out that nib unit, you will find there is a silicone ring here and a silicone O-ring up here, and those help prevent ink leakage and things like that. And PenBBS is not only good about installing those pens from the factory, but you can also order from them replacement O-rings and other parts like plastic feeds and the plastic housing for the nib unit as well, and those again very reasonably priced. All right, let's take a look at both of these nibs for just a second. First, let's look at the stainless steel nib that's here in the demonstrator version, and it is a fine, and I really like their fines. This has that upturned Waverly style nib or Mini Fude style nib, and these just write really well. They give you a little bit extra. It's not dramatic with that little upturn, but it gives you a little bit of line variation depending on the angle that you write with, and I just find these to be really well tuned. Now, sometimes PenBBS nibs can be a little bit to the dry side, although I will say that's not the case with the Galaxy Blue, which has a medium nib here, but sometimes they can. It's easily remedied. There are exercises you can do. Look up tutorials on how to increase the wetness of a dry nib, but write with it first, check it out, and see how it is before you go tuning, because a lot of these are really well done, just right out of the box. Again, they do come with a plastic feed, and again, you can order replacements should you need them. Now, this is the gold-colored nib, and this is also a medium, and you'll notice that they're differently decorated. While the other had maybe a little bit more traditional styling, this has a very stylized M, no scrolling around the edges or anything, and that PenBBS logo and their founding year, and I think these look really good too. This style of nib and engraving has been around for quite a while from PenBBS. In fact, I think my very first one had the very same design on its medium nib. All right, here we have our 556, and I'm sorry, these numbers are going to run together. I want to show you, compared to some other PenBBS models, how this looks and the size it is, and then I'll give you some other frame of reference as well. But this is the 308. This was my first PenBBS and my first Galaxy Blue pen, and it sold me on both. It's a cartridge converter pen in a pretty classic cigar-shaped style, and I just love that pen. Great writer. And it's also why I buy a lot of PenBBS nibs in medium, because first impression was awesome and it's held up over time. This is then the 489, another PenBBS pen, also Galaxy Blue, right? And you can see I really prefer that silver trim. And this pen is the model where they resurrected from the history books the touchdown style filling mechanism, which is another vacuum pen filling mechanism that's around from the last century. And this is a really neat pen. Probably taken a little bit of a back seat lately because PenBBS introduces new models over the years, and some of these older ones then like that, which is only a few years old or a couple years old, they kind of take a back seat a little, but that's a really, really neat pen. And then you have the 495, and this is still a fairly recent pen. I think this was last year. It's a large pen. You can see that it's bigger than the 556, though not by a huge amount, but you know, the little top hat here makes that one a little bit bigger. All of these are great pens. They're all great looking pens, and they show you the kind of variety that PenBBS has on offer if you're not familiar. Now let me show you another pen based on some historic shapes, very similar to the Schaefer Balance. This is the PenBBS 480. This, for me, is a pen that I had to search out for years to finally get. It was very difficult to find this pen in the Galaxy Blue resin, but I finally got it because I really like the style of their Model 480. Now, in terms of pens from other companies, let's just stay in the Galaxy Blue region for a little bit. Here is the Asvine P20, another piston filling pen, and one that is itself fantastic with a terrific nib. And like the 556, very reasonably priced, especially for the quality of pen that you're getting. And these are very similar in size, yet have some very different details in their design. And if you're still trying to figure out, okay, but I don't have any of those pens, what size is this pen? There, number 2 pencil. And that should give everybody an idea of the size of all these pens. And there we have the pens in the unposted length, and you can see it's just kind of all right along in the same size bracket. I'm not going to show the pen posted because the 556 we're looking at today does not really post, and the ergonomics are great in hand in the size that it is, so it's really not a big deal. All right, let's see how the 556 is going to write. Nice and smoothly, that's how. Again, this is a medium nib. Nice and wet. Oops, I almost bumped the, or I didn't almost, I did. I bumped the ink bottle. Let's talk about the ink bottle. So this is a PenBBS ink. It's called ink number 85. Their inks always come in numbered series, and they put them out in seasons. I don't know what season this is from, but it's ink number 85, and it is a dark blue, almost a blue-black, but I might not classify it that way. On the right paper, it has great shading and can even have some reddish sheen. I don't know if we'll see that here today or not. I'm using Rhodia paper, so yeah, maybe. And you see here the image of, and I apologize ahead of time for my poor pronunciation, I do not speak Chinese, but Lu Jun. And he is a Chinese author, well-known in Chinese literature circles. Again, this is PenBBS ink. And it's number 85, in case you want to look that up. Really, really like this ink. Now in this medium nib, it's pretty stiff. You don't really get a lot of line variation. I'm not sure about reverse writing. I don't think I've tried it on this one. Let's see. That's not bad at all, actually. Yeah, well, this one does reverse writing anyway. That wasn't scratchy or cringy at all as I tried that. How about a dad joke this week instead of just random words? Not my best, but it's still there and it's still funny. So, you know, what are you going to do? All right, let's do our speed test and see how this nib and feed hold up in quick writing. All right, I lifted there. That's all right. This is real speed. All right, this was me. This was not, I did something there unless I turned. That might have been a little something. Let's try this again. Oh, no, that's fine, fine, fine. So yeah, I've been writing with this pen quite a bit, and I really like the medium nib. Now, I showed you how many of these I have in that fine and medium, so it's not a shocker to me. PenBBS is really consistent, I find, on their quality control, so you can kind of expect if you like one of their nibs, you're going to like it in the next one as well. Nobody's perfect. Really great companies miss the mark there sometimes, but I do think this one is really good. And highly recommend that ink if you can find it. as well. So what do I think overall? I think they've got another hit on their hands. This is a proven mechanism at this point. I like the change to silver because in the Demonstrator, it really does look fantastic. Some people probably like that it's not going to contrast or conflict with the color of ink they have if they are using one of the Demonstrator or semi-demonstrator acrylics. I don't know if that was their thinking, but that might be a bonus. I think this looks pretty sleek. I like the design elements of this pen. That symbol or pagoda finial at each end, I think that looks really cool. This clear material is really nicely done. I like this as much as I like the Galaxy Blue. The nib is fantastic. Again, those have been reliable. It's easy enough to service and clean. And this one was $27.99. This was $30.99. And I think for the level of fit and finish and the reliability of their pens and the beauty of this material, I think this is a really great deal. Makes a wonderful gift for somebody if you're looking to give somebody a nice fountain pen and want something that's not going to absolutely break the bank. These are a perennial choice of a lot of users for a reason. So there you have it. That's my take on the new 556. I really like it. What about you? What do you think? And which material would you choose, provided you can even get them in stock? These things can fly off the shelf sometimes and then take a little while to get the color you want back again. What do you think? Which is your favorite? What are you going for if you're going to add it to your collection? Or if you are saying, no, I'm not, what are your reasons for that? We might need to know something. You might have a perspective we need to hear. Share that in the comments below. As always, thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Also, let me just say, I am filming this on the Monday after the flooding in Kerrville, Texas, down in the Guadalupe River. And first, to those of you who are from there, our hearts and prayers go out for you. And a lot of folks from my community are already there helping in the recovery, and our church is helping to support that too. If you're from another part of the country and you know, hey, James lives somewhere down there, we're okay, we're good, we're a couple hours from there, and so we're not really affected by that in terms of flooding. But of course we are affected because a lot of us have friends and family. My own family that lives there is safe and sound up on a hill, and I'm certainly very grateful for that. But I really appreciate those of you that are either hands and feet on the ground there or are helping to provide for those who are. And again, thank you for all of those who have expressed concern. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next review.